This is Trick and Fancy Discipline, shot number 2. And the setup for the first 2 balls is exactly the same as the setup that I showed you for the first shot. So again, we have the 1 ball on the spot, and I use my cue stick to align the 2 ball. It's going to form a combination with the 1 ball to the right half of the corner pocket down here. I'm going to take my Q-tip, I'm going to push it against the bottom of the rail just before it gets into the corner pocket. Leave my cue stick on the table, but I'm going to roll it into the 1 ball. Actually just swing it into the 1 ball. The Q-tip's going to stay pushed up against the cushion right there. So slowly bring it into contact with the 1 ball. Obviously you don't want to knock it out of position, but make sure it's touching the 1 ball and your Q-tip's still frozen to the bottom of the rail down there. Take the 2 ball, we're going to slide it right against the cue stick, right until it touches the 1 ball. And so that's in place, you kind of hold them together a little bit, roll the cue stick out of the way, give them a nice little tap to make sure they stay in place. The 3 ball is going to be hanging in the corner pocket, and then the cue ball, I'm going to put the front edge against the head string of the table, and it's going to be 1 ball width from the center line of the table. So for that you can use a measurement ball or a ghost ball, and so that I'm using the 9 ball in this case, and its edge is right even with the center of the table, and 1 ball's frozen to it. So that's what I call 1 ball width from the center line of the table. Now to execute this shot, I aim at the right edge of the 2 ball, so a half ball head on the 2 ball, use a half tip at top and a half tip of left hand English to help get it around the table. You don't need to hit it at a blazing speed, but you do need to get around the table. So half tip, half ball aim, half tip top, half tip left. Nice and smooth. Around. Came up a little bit long, which sometimes you do. So what I would do to make the adjustment in that case, let me just go set up the 1 and the 2 again. Again, this is pretty well tapped in, so I'm not going to use my measurement technique every time, but it will help you get you started, especially if you're on a new table. And instead of going from 1 ball width from the long center line of the table, I'm going to go 1.5. So I start at 1. I visually take the center of the cue ball and I move the right edge of the cue ball right where that center line, where that imaginary center line was. So this is what I do to help shorten the cue ball track, so it should come up a little bit shorter. Again, I'll take the same aim, half ball aim on the 2, half tip top, half tip left. Nice and smooth. Up nice and easy to make the 3 ball. So you can see that adjustment was to move the cue ball further to my left in order to make it come shorter, or come towards the long rail. And that's going to be, that would be my common adjustment. Now if I was setting it up again my normal way, and if instead I was coming short and I needed to lengthen it out, obviously there's only really so much room you have to keep going right before you really don't have the right angle to come off the 2 ball anymore. So I would use the same setup, but instead I would adjust the spin. I would put more top on it. So if I put more top on it, it should give me a sharper angle into the rail, and that should lengthen it all out. So instead of coming in for the 3 ball, probably actually 3 ball in the corner, I'll actually be hitting probably a half diamond to 1 diamond on the short rail or long. So again, half ball aim, same aim, just going with more top and a half tip of left. And wow, that's actually lengthened out quite a bit. I lengthened out by 2 diamonds. So I put too much top on it, obviously. So it would just be adjusting somewhere in between there to get the exact distance you need. And when you're practicing this shot, it's very helpful to understand how much spin or how much more you need to move the cue ball one way or the other in order to get the cue ball to track a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. So when you get to a tournament table and you may have this shot down pat on your table, you know, like I showed you, and then you get to a tournament table and that setup and that spin and speed that you're using isn't making it. If it's coming up long or short, you know what the adjustment is to make and by how much. Obviously, you know, I didn't have that adjustment down for coming longer, so, you know, I'd have to make sure I just put just a little bit of English on it, but a little bit of top instead of maximum top. But you know, I have a lot of range I can work with, depending on how much I'm missing by when I do get to the tournament table. So practice coming in long and short. Yes, it kind of long and short. I'm sorry. It kind of, you know, it's kind of tedious when you're practicing the shot to miss per se. But, you know, you can move the 3-ball up by a diamond on either rail, and you know, at least try to hit the 3-ball. You don't have to try to make it. Obviously, it'd be a tough cut. But you know, those are the practice tips, and that will make you more successful when you get to the tournament. So yeah, pay attention to the setup, pay attention to where your cue ball is, pay attention to how much spin you're putting on it, and where the cue ball is going to end up tracking. And between all that, you should be making this shot, you know, no problem, pretty high percentage of the time.